What's up and welcome back to the channel. The name is Ninja Knight. Make sure you like, share, subscribe and hit the notification bell up above for future uploads, and check out the link posted down below. Thank you. So here I have Godzilla vs Kong SH Monsterarts, and this is a company that have taken leaps and bounds over the last couple of years in terms of their production of the figures in this Monsterarts line. I quite like it myself. Yes, there are some things to complain about and there are some nitpicks with some of this, but I have to say overall I think that they've done very well with Godzilla King of the Monsters. They gave us a very nice Godzilla, multiple versions. In fact, they gave us an atomic version, a standard version, and then a poster version of Godzilla. They gave a beautiful Ghidorah, or Ghidorah as some people will pronounce it. We also have Mothra and Rodan that they did very well, I think, from that movie, and as a 2-pack as well, which I think was really nice to see that from SH Monsterarts, because I think they could have spread that out over 2 releases, but to pack them together I thought was quite interesting. And I have to say, with the variety of designs that we're seeing in this Monsterverse, I'm quite surprised that we haven't seen way more within this line. It seems like that they just want to do the heavy hitters. I wouldn't be too opposed to a Skullcrawler, for example, from this line, and I have to say I'm quite surprised that they didn't decide to do a SH Monsterarts from the Kong Skull Island movie. There was a couple of designs within that movie that I think warranted maybe a figure or two, especially with King Kong from that movie, that you could actually size compare and have a difference between Kong in that movie and Kong in this movie, because as we know in this movie he has grown even larger between the first time we've seen him in Kong Skull Island and now in Godzilla vs Kong. So I have to say, when you're looking at this figure, articulation looks absolutely wonderful with these figures, and that's one thing I have to credit this company on. They do seem to give a lot of articulation to these figures, and I'm very happy about that. Articulation is key in my opinion. So as you can see here with King Kong, he has kind of a beard, he has a longer face, which looks really cool. It looks a lot older, looks a lot wiser. I love this screaming head, this portrait of him looking really angry. I think that this is probably going to be my de facto way of having Kong within this display that I'm going to purchase myself, because I am 100% going to purchase King Kong and Godzilla from this line. As I said, the quality control in this line is pretty good. Yes, they do have some misses, but I think ultimately and overall I think you get a good value for the price that you pay. We're seeing a number of articulation pieces within this here. As we can see, the head is articulated. There's actually an alternate head that we can see later on in this video. There is a neck joint, we have a torso, we have a shoulder, what looks to be a bicep, we have a very seamless looking bending of the arm, and then we have the hands. From what I understand, there's going to be a couple of pair of hands with this figure, which is absolutely brilliant, because there's a nice way then of making a change to the figure, and subtle changes then make a big difference. I think when you're giving proper accessories, essentially like fists and then open hands, different types of splayed hands, it does take away from the look then of, say, a joint on the hands, and I think that that is pretty cool in my opinion. We have a nice torso joint here, we have a nice hip sort of section here, and I like the way it's broken down. The way, as you can see here, we might get a very good ab crunch out of this in a way, and then we'll also then have a nice ball joint there at the hips and what seems like a thigh swivel as well, so I'm very happy to see that. As we can see, next up here is Godzilla. Now this is very interesting, and as we can see, he has more of a metallic sheen on his dorsal fins and in his mouth. So I think that this is quite interesting insofar as this looks like he's getting ready to shoot an atomic blast, which I think is really cool. And from what I understand, this figure is going to come with an atomic blast, and that is very nice. Now this seems to be utilizing a lot of the sculpt that has been used beforehand. There will be small alterations to this sculpt, but ultimately and overall I think that this looks absolutely stunning. I think it looks really well. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I think that this is a really good sculpt. They've used it multiple times. The dorsal fins are painted differently, which I really like about this, and I think when you size them off together, they look fantastic together. So as we can see here now, this is the 2 figures together. Very nicely done. Kong is standing up a little bit more. As we can see here now, he is just, I would say, if you were standing him flat on his feet, a smidge shorter than Godzilla, which is okay, and I think that they are looking that way within that movie. But what a scene to have, as you can see, all the carnage unfolding around him and the 2 monsters going at it, which looks absolutely brilliant. I think there's a lot of speculation around Godzilla at the moment as to what's going on with him in this movie, and I suppose that's a talk for another video. But as we can see here, King Kong looks very aggressive, looks really big, and Godzilla there looks in and around the same size that he should within this Monsterverse. The last image that I'm going to show here though is one that caught my eye, and I have to say, sometimes they talk about toys and spoilers and stuff. this is essentially a big spoiler in my opinion in terms of what we're seeing here. Now I know some people might be looking at this and saying, well, we're not really seeing anything at all. It seems like we are. As we can see here, we have Kong with his axe that we did witness within the trailer. And something that I was curious about was, how is Kong breaking, or at least very much so, taking the blast from Godzilla with his axe? Like, what is special about his axe? Well, as we can see here, this looks very much like a dorsal fin from Godzilla. And as we can see here, it has a very nice blue hue to it. So sometimes when you're talking about a toy and a spoiler, this seems to be really it here. It seems like King Kong has fashioned himself an axe out of one of Godzilla's dorsal fins. And it's hugely interesting, and no pun intended when I say that, as to who this bone is from. What is this bone from? Is it from a Godzilla descendant or ancestor? Is it from someone beforehand? Is it from a different creature? I am very much so looking forward to seeing what this is from. As you can see here in this picture, we do have Kong with an alternate hand, and we also have Kong down with an alternate sculpt. I think the sculpt as well for this head is absolutely phenomenal. I really like the aggressive look that's on Kong's face. I like the beard that he's shown and flaunting in this movie, and he looks absolutely jacked, as we can see here. So I think that this is a really nice release overall from SH Figuarts. I think that this is something that they need to keep looking at. I think it's very seamless looking, and it really does look nice. And when you think about the articulation that these guys get and the way they look, absolutely phenomenal stuff. I would love to see more monsters in this line. That's one criticism I have from the SH Monsterarts line. Yes, they are expensive. Yes, I understand that unique sculpts cost money and the tooling that goes with them along with the accessories. But I think when you look at the range of monsters that we're supposedly getting within this movie, and some of the monsters that have already been left out in terms of Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, and even so far as the Mutos from the original Godzilla movie within this series, I think that that's money to be made for this company, and I would love to see a plethora of monsters. And I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that. We do have this company as well, SH Monsterarts and SH Figuarts, that this comes from, that are also making other older versions of Godzilla, and they've been doing a really good job at it from what I understand. I don't own any of those figures, but any of the reviews that I've seen online speak very highly about this. I can only speak from personal experience in terms of owning the Godzilla King of the Monsters figures, and I have to say I really like them. I think they handle nicely. I think they pose very nicely. And when you're looking at these are collector's items. These aren't really toys for kids, because these are quite delicate in certain aspects. I mean, the dorsal fins would be quite accurate, or delicate I should say, and as they are accurate of course as well within the movies. So I'm interested to see if this is it from Monsterarts. Is there going to be more to be shown? We know the movie's going to be released pretty soon. The trailer looked really cool, in my opinion. It certainly, I have a couple of theories on what's going on within that trailer, so I think that might be a video for another day. But I think with this backdrop here, I think that this will be an absolutely fantastic piece, and I think anybody who's interested in Godzilla vs. Kong, and certainly within this movie, if they were just purchasing these two figures alone, and I have to say the price on these two figures isn't bad whatsoever. They seem to be ranging in and around $60, which is very, very good in comparison to what had been going on before. There were some figures that were a little bit more expensive. Ghidorah is quite expensive in and himself, and I think a lot of people were disappointed with how that ended up. With a couple of the QC issues, but generally I think due to the size of the figure, I think some people had an issue with some of the jaws with that one, and maybe some of the paint. But it looks like that they're coming out strong here with this line, and it looks really good, because this is their first attempt, in my opinion, and as much as I know, of Kong within this series, and I think they've absolutely nailed Kong. So we'd like to see more from this line. I would definitely like to see some of the newer creatures that we've seen in King of the Monsters, and I would like to see some of the monsters that we may see within this movie. I think there's one big monster that is allegedly appearing in this movie, and I think it'd be interesting if this company decide to do that monster within this line. Anyway, that's my video for today. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the link below. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Are you going to be purchasing these figures? Is there one that's more interesting than the other? Or are you going to wait and see what way the movie pans out? What do you think of Kong's axe? Is that something that could factor into the movie? Because we have seen some of the cheaper toys featuring battle damage, and to me I was like, how would you damage Godzilla? Well, it's very clear now how they're going to try and damage Godzilla within this movie. Also, there's other theories floating around at the moment. Do you think that Godzilla in this movie is Godzilla? And I'm going to talk about that now in another video, and I'm going to explain why I think that. Talk to you later. Good luck.